remains forever, forever. Your love remains forevermore. Oh, your love remains forever, forever. Yes, your love remains forevermore. When there's chaos around, I'm not giving up ground, because you hold me, I'm safe in your will. When the enemy's close, in your strength I will boast, as I remember, you tell me be still, and you say, I am right here with you. I am the strength you need for today. And there's no valley that I'll find that's too deep. There's no fire that I'll face that's too fierce. No river that is flowing too fast. No wilderness I can outlast. I will trust you can take care of the rest. There's always testimony after a test. On the other side of suffering, I have learned that I can walk through the fire and not get burned. And when my way isn't clear and my heart starts to fear, I'll remember your promise still stands. If my knees start to fail and evil seems to prevail, I will reach out and you'll take my hand, and you say, I am right here with you. I am the strength you need for today. There's no valley that I'll find that's too deep. There's no fire that I'll face that's too fierce. No river that is flowing too fast. No wilderness I can outlast. I will trust you can take care of the rest. There's always testimony after a test. On the other side of suffering, I have learned that I can walk through the fire and not get burned. You were with me through the fire. You were with me in the storm, Lord. And I know you are right here with me. You are the strength I need for today. I'm standing strong with you. Together we'll walk this path your way. There's no valley that I'll find that's too deep. There's no fire that I'll face that's too fierce. No river that is flowing too fast. No wilderness I can't outlast. And I will trust you can take care of the rest. But there's always testimony after a test. On the other side of suffering, I have learned that I can walk through the fire and not get burned. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Some days I wake up grumpy, just wanting to lie in. Some days I wake up with a bounce, ready to begin. So before I get my breakfast, I'll stop to pause and pray and ask you to be with me in all I do today. Help me worship you in every single day. Help me live for you in all I do and say. In the day ahead, let me be your hands and feet. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. When I head out on Monday and sit down at my desk, I'll make the choice to worship you by giving it my best. Help me every single moment in all I say and do. And even on a Wednesday, I live to worship you. Help me worship you in every single day. Help me live for you in all I do and say. In the day ahead, let me be your hands and feet. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. When I'm in church on Sunday, along with all my mates, we sing some songs and learn about the stuff that makes God great. As I leave, I will remember a week is 7 days. So when I'm in my everyday, I'll worship you always. Help me worship you in every single day. Help me live for you in all I do and say. In the day ahead, let me be your hands and feet. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. As I lay down on Sunday night, another week's ahead. Help me always remember the things that you have said. When my life seems just like normal, I want each part to say, I will worship all the time, no matter what the day. Help me worship you in every single day. Help me live for you in all I do and say. In the day ahead, let me be your hands and feet. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. Help me worship you in every single day. Help me live for you in all I do and say. In the day ahead, let me be your hands and feet. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. Jesus, Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week. Jesus, I will worship you for 7 days a week.
Good evening and welcome to what I hope is a really special Wednesday night worship session for the regulars at Bodmin Road Church, and for my friends who are joining, who've been part of the 12 Song Challenge community with me for this last 12 months. Hopefully a reminder of some of the challenges that we've all faced together and the songs that we've written out of that. So yeah, welcome. It's really good to have you with us, and we're just kind of hoping that all the tech behaves itself tonight and we can just enjoy this time together without any gremlins creeping into the system. So I'm just going to pray as we start, and then I'll give you a little bit of an overview of how I hope the night might run. There is going to be a chance for some participation, I'm hoping, and so I'm just going to pray. Father, I want to thank you that there is a new song that rises up among your people, across different generations, across different countries. And I want to thank you for the creativity that came out of the challenge that I was part of last year. I want to thank you for those communities that have been blessed by the songwriters who are part of them, listening to your heartbeat and your voice for those places. And as we think of those in particular in the context of Hull and Bransholm and Bodmin Road Church, of the UK, I pray that we'd be reminded that you are a bigger God than our immediate circumstance and our immediate situation. That you do more amazing things than we see in our own local churches. That we are part of a bigger thing. We are part of something that is across this world, and that has been a long time before us and will outlast our days. So as we worship you tonight, let us see age-old truth, hopefully in new ways. Let us have some words that lodge in our minds, not because they tell us something that's different to what we've heard before, but they maybe just bring it from a different angle and remind us again of how amazing you are. Amen. Okay, so what I'm planning to do, I think we did put it just on the screen very briefly. I'm going to get Elijah to put it on the screen, full screen, is I've done a little breakdown of the 12 Song Challenge. So I've put a couple of bonus tracks in because they came out of some of the United Adoration writing days. And what I'm asking people to do is to just help me plan the order for tonight. Now, you might know some of those songs and want us to sing them early. I guess it depends when you eat your meal. Do you eat all the things that you like first, or do you leave those on your plate till the end to kind of have them as something to savour? If it goes quiet, I will just plan the order that takes us through it. But I wanted to give you some chance. So it's on the screen. In fact, it's just below here. It talks about what the challenge was that month and what the song was that came out of it. So I'm happy to open it up to anybody if you want to pick the first song. And if, when I'm finishing this little talk, nobody's put a number in, what I'll do is I'll just start with January and we can start to take it from there. So we have used some of these songs in our Wednesday worship sessions. We have used some of these songs in our Sunday sessions. So even if you don't recognise them from the title, as we start to sing some of them, they may come back to you. So I wonder about just starting with January's song. So this is the second 12 Song Challenge that I've done, and the other one from memory started midway through the year, and so it kind of felt a bit different. December wasn't the kind of ending point. Oh, here we go. Look at that. That's 3 votes straight off for November. Oh, two from the same person. Thanks, Lynn. So we'll start with Generous God. Yeah. So we ran it from January to December, which was good because the year started and we had a chance to have that focus. But I'm going to leave that blurb until I get to January's. So Generous God, number 11. Last year was a weird year. I wrote loads of songs in 6/8, and this was kind of the final song of the year that I did in that. I used it in our end-of-year concert for when we met together just for Christmas. And this was one that really benefited from the contribution of the people on the forum. So what's going to happen on all the songs, we're going to put the song words up full screen. My video is going to vanish to a little part of the screen so you can still see me playing. If you're watching on a phone, the words might be a little bit small. If you're watching on a bigger device, hopefully it's all right. So just feel free to join in where you are on any bits that you recognise or any bits you can get to. So, Generous God.
Generous God, true to your promise, abounding in love, endless compassion you lavish on us, and willingly we bring our praise. You do not change, we can depend on your grace to remain, and in every moment your truth stays the same. Blessings anew every day. We're celebrating your goodness to us, for all that you've done and will do. Gratitude rises and pours out as worship to you. We can't stay silent when faced with such love. Our voices declare you are good. Oh, for you are a generous God. A generous God, who as a father is rooting for us, fiercely defending the children you love, a refuge, a strength and a rock. As friends, will you hold us close when the night closes in? Gently remind us that we'll dance again, 'cause joy breaks with every new dawn. We're celebrating your goodness to us, for all that you've done and will do. Gratitude rises and pours out as worship to you. Silent when faced with such love, our voices declare you are good. Oh, for you are a generous God. We're celebrating your goodness to us, for all that you've done and will do. Gratitude rises and pours out as worship to you. We can't stay silent when faced with such love. Our voices declare you are good. Oh, for you are a generous God.
I'm not even going to try the outro because it is still just loose notes in my head. Travis, thank you. You made a big contribution to that one in particular with some changes to how I phrase things in the chorus. So that's number 11 done and crossed off. I saw some more coming in. I think I saw number 4 being mentioned and number 3 being mentioned. And then also we had July. So what we'll do is we'll do number 3 and then we'll do number 7 and then we'll do number 4. And I'll tell you the reason for that when we get to number 4. So number 3 was our Lent challenge. And the world kind of felt a little bit normal back then. We were starting to get slightly anxious about the impact of the virus. It was starting to hit news quite regularly. But it was later, obviously, in March in the UK that we went into lockdown, the 23rd. So Lent, the challenge that Joel and Sam talked about on the podcast, was really the bit that grabbed me was thinking about some of those wilderness accounts in the Bible and really digging into them and seeing what kind of material came out of those. So this one's called In the Silence. One of the bits that came out of the comments was the order. Are you drawn close and then held first? Are you held and then drawn close? So I think we got the proper sequencing of this in the end. So the chorus says, draw me close, hold me near, speak your truth, drive out fear. So this is number 3. This was March.
In the silence, in the waiting, in the longest of nights, I believe that your light will still shine. In the failures, in my despair, I will look for your peace, though this wilderness is all I see. Many questions feel unanswered. They are echoing round as I wander in circles of doubt. I am desperate to hear your voice. You speak hope into life. You are raising me up once again. So draw me close, hold me near, speak your truth, drive out fear, lift my eyes from this dust, change my view as I trust. And I will follow as you guide me through the trials and the tests I will face as you're sharpening me. I am yours, Lord, so lead me on to the lands you have promised, where all of my waiting is done. So draw me close and hold me near, speak your truth, drive out fear, lift my eyes from this dust, change my view as I trust. I will trust in you. In the silence, in the waiting, in the longest of nights, I believe that your light will still shine.
The reason I'm not jumping straight on to number 4 after that one is because we didn't know when we set the challenge in March around Lent Songs that that wilderness would feel like such a long period in front of people. So March's and April songs have some similarities in them. So we'll move on to the songs of justice. And I hatched a bit of a plan in July to make millions on my CCLI returns by calling my song the same one as a very famous one by Tim Hughes, on the hope that as people put their CCLI returns on, they accidentally click on my song and not his. So I'll let you know if that works, if that is a successful strategy. But July was a strange month. The challenge was set. There was a lot of stuff globally about justice. It was at the start of the Black Lives Matter movement. It was lots of stuff was coming out following the killing of George Floyd in America. And as the challenge was set, it felt not right to kind of pin it to one particular issue, but that broader call of songs for justice. So I've had this kind of melody in my mind for about 18 months and struggling to find any words to fit. But as I sat down through that month and just started to play with some ideas, this melody seemed to fit. I struggled with the chorus, but I was drawn to the words of Amos chapter 5. But let justice roll on like a river, and righteousness like a never-failing stream. And hopefully there's some of the kind of movement in the melody of the chorus that kind of mimics that movement of that river of justice flowing. So this one's called God of Justice. God of justice, we are broken when divisive words are spoken, soaked in hatred, prejudice, and pride. And when our sister is ill-treated and our brother cries unheeded, help compassion start to turn the tide. God of justice, we are shaken when the stolen lives are taken, futures traded, treated without worth. May we speak for those left silent, trapped in prisons formed by violence. Help us bring your kingdom here on earth. Justice flow, mighty river roll, Spirit overflow, make creation whole, burst the bands, flood across our land, help us understand how to take a stand. God of justice, we are blinded by the cultures that have bound us. Free us from deception that obscures. May your words of truth be spoken. Let our eyes and ears be opened. Help our hearts to beat as one with yours. So justice flow, mighty river roll, Spirit overflow, make creation whole, burst the bands, flood across our land, help us understand how to take a we are hungry for a move of grace and mercy. Shatter now the yoke of those oppressed. All our sisters and our brothers, no one greater than another. Help us use the voice that we possess. Justice flow, mighty river roll, Spirit overflow, make creation whole. Burst the banks, flood across our land. Help us understand how to take a stand. So we've still got another one queued up from that little flurry of requests. So what I'll do is, just before we put that one up, I'll put the list back on the screen. Well, I won't. My able assistant will put the list back on the screen, so you can be reminding yourself of some of the songs that we have. If you put a number down that we've already had, we won't sing it again. We will literally be here all night. But if you want to just remind yourself of what some of those songs are. We are moving towards number 4, which is called In These Anxious Times. Like I said, the reason I brought up number 3 and 4 in terms of singing it is because they were next to each other month-wise, but actually the real risk of the challenge for April is that it was just going to become another type of Lent song, another type of waiting song, because of what we as a country and what we as a world had encountered as we moved into lockdowns, whatever that looked like in our areas. So this song's called In These Anxious Times, and it draws on Psalm 121, the very famous psalm around I will lift my eyes up to the mountain. Where does my help come from? And I initially started writing the song as a we song, and kind of very quickly recognised it was probably going to be quite a while until we were singing together as we. So I moved it into an I song and that kind of very personal reflection. We used it quite a lot in our early lockdown sessions, so for those who've been part of that from day one, from Bodmin, you will hopefully recognise it from back there. Right, number 8 and number 1, excellent. So I'm going to do, put those down, so number 1 and number 8. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, Wendy. Okie doke. So, but we're now doing number 4. So, In These Anxious Times. In these anxious times, fear is running wild. Help me fix my eyes on you, my God. In uncertain days, captivate my gaze. I will fix my eyes on you, my God. And I will lift my eyes up to the mountain. Where does my help come from? My help comes from you, Lord.
captivate my mind. Help me fix my eyes on you, my God. So teach me how to trust, resting in your love. I will fix my eyes on you, my God. And I will lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from you, Lord of heaven. Lift my eyes up to the mountain. Where does my help come from? My help comes from you, Lord of heaven. Lord of heaven.
This is the verse that I was about to go to earlier.
Nothing that I face robs me of your grace. Help me fix my eyes on you, my God. What can stand against my Savior and my friend? I will fix my eyes on you, my God. And I will lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from you, Lord of heaven. Lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from you, Lord of heaven. Lord of heaven.
I did just see you starting to comment, Rebecca, when I made it sound as though I was going to be doing song one right at the start. So yeah, we started in January, and I think I've been on the podcast to set the scene for the challenge, and we were asked what we wanted to be able to achieve based on our previous experiences of the songwriting challenge, and mine was to really try and push into writing songs that we could sing as a congregation. Sometimes my songs have missed the mark on that. We've sung them as a congregation, but they haven't been kind of true congregational worship songs. And January's challenge came, and it was Epiphany. And I was drawn to the story of Simeon, who'd been promised that he would see the Messiah before he dies. And the account in Luke where he says, "Lord, now let your servant depart in peace, according to your word, for my eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and for glory to your people Israel." So I wrote a song about Simeon, submitted it on the forum, and thought, right, that's January ticked off. And it was Ian Edgson who kind of pulled me up on what I'd said on the comments on the podcast and said, can you move this into a congregational song? So I tried to do that, really trying to draw on the times in our lives where we've been waiting for some of the things that God has promised us. And do we wait patiently? How do we manage that time? How do we stay faithful to the promises that God has made? So this song is called Watching and Waiting.
Watching and waiting, with hope we are praying, longing to hear you, oh God. And all that your Spirit has spoken and promised, we're ready, Lord, to respond. So we will hold on to all you've asked us to. This moment your presence draws closer, stirring our spirits within. Eager to listen, we have our attention, let our communion begin. We will hold on to all you've asked as we meet you now, we are not in doubt that your promises remain. And as we grow in trust, you are showing us that our hope is not in vain. And as we move onward, keep us looking upward, willing to follow your word, bringing devotion through worship unbroken, changed by a love undeserved. We will hold on to all you've asked us to. And as we meet you now, we are not in doubt that your promises remain. As we grow in trust, you are showing us that our hope is not in vain. So God, find us faithful, much more than we're able, just by our strength or our mind, and deepening our trust through your spirit in us, holding on all through the night. We will hold on to all you've asked us to. As we meet you now, we are not in doubt that your promises remain. And as we grow in trust, you are showing us that our hope is not in vain. Okay, then we had number 8 requested, which the challenge for this one was women in the Bible. It was a special guest episode of the podcast, so it was Keiko and Rebecca and Rachel who took us through that podcast. And as I listened to it, as I started to think about what the challenge could be, I really wanted to pick a woman in the Bible who was relatively obscure, who the story wasn't particularly well told. We've had a book on our bookcase called The Deborah Company for quite a while, and that contains some case studies about some of the women in the Bible. So I went and picked that book up and thought, yeah, I'm going to pick somebody we don't really talk about. And then I woke up one morning, and the only woman's face I could get out of my mind, but obviously we don't know what she looked like, was the widow in the story of the widow's mite. And just that sense of, I looked at the stories, and one of Jesus' comments, he says, she, out of her poverty, put in all that she had to live on, willingly, and I kind of realised that I kind of know the story. We've probably all heard the story loads and heard loads of sermons on it. But the sense that even as small as that amount was, it would have bought something. But she was more willing to trust in God and give that something, that safety net, to him, and not kind of hold on to it. And so that kind of broadened out into a bigger theme. I shared quite a lot on the forum about some of the people that I knew or I grew up with through churches who've gone on to achieve quite big things in terms of multinational ministries. And sometimes I've reflected on my own calling and the fact that I'm still faithfully part of a leadership team and leading worship in a local church kind of 20 years on. But recognising that that's what God is asking me to do for this point in my life. It might always be what he's asking me to do, that might change. But as long as I'm bringing willingly what I have, I might compare it to others and feel that it compares unfavourably. But in God's eyes, he recognises what we are giving. So hopefully that's something that can resonate with you guys as well. So this is called What Can I Bring? And I think that John Pocock had said he was going to try and log on. John had said that he sent me some chords for the chorus, which really helped to make this much more interesting. So you've got John to thank for the chords in the third line of the chorus, if I can remember them. So this is called What Can I Bring? What can I bring? What is my offering to lay before you now? In my devotion, my gift feels small compared with all that people give. But as I bow in adoration, oh, I bring all I have. It may not seem a lot, I'll lay it all down and consider the cost of my comfort, my safety, for that rainy day. I give you my all as my worship today. You don't despise, although the size of what I give to others seems so very shameful. You see my heart, part is trusting you will meet my needs. God, you are faithful, and I bring all I have. It may not seem a lot, I'll lay it all down and consider the cost of my comfort, my safety, for that rainy day. I give you my all as my worship today. Lord, through my life, I've been surprised with how you always multiply all that I give you, fueled by faith, able to face tomorrow knowing you supply as you have loved to. And I bring all I have. It may not seem a lot, I'll lay it all down and consider the cost of my comfort, my safety, for that rainy day. I give you my all as my worship today. So I think that is us once again caught up with the requests that had come in. Some highlights of the ones that we haven't yet picked. If I can just get Elijah to put them back on the screen. We've had, here we go. Oh, perfect. Natalie just put them on the screen, which is marvellous. And there is an extra bonus 13 and 14 as well, which we'll see how we get on time-wise. So we've got 6. What's 6? Oh, okay, right. 6. So living room songs. Yeah, I think I was going slightly stir crazy at this point. So the challenge was living room songs, because all of us were suddenly leading worship from our living rooms, pretty much as I am doing tonight. And I think the task was to write something that would translate into every living room. I kind of didn't do that really. I wrote a song that probably lends itself either to an East End pub or to definitely a church with lots of people singing very boldly and confidently. One of my musical influences when I was growing up was a guy called Keith Green. And I picked up my guitar, which I don't often do when I'm songwriting because I'm rubbish on guitar, and started playing some chords, and I recognised they were the chords of When the Roll is Called Up Yonder. And then I paired that with a little riff from a Keith Green song called Dear John, Letter to the Devil. And as this song kind of started to take shape, I recognised a deeper significance. I didn't kind of write it for this reason, but
I kind of wrote into it once I spotted it, that even back in, what was this month? Even back in June, we were kind of longing for that day when we would be back together in church. I remember as a worship leader thinking, what is that first song we should sing as we gather back together again? What is it that we should be declaring as a community of people who love Jesus? And just the sense that expectation, that hunger and that keenness was good, but actually coming back to church after a period of lockdown compared to what it will be like when we arrive in eternity and we're with Jesus forever, it's a poor foretaste. So yeah, my mind went in all sorts of directions. So ultimately this song is a reworking of When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, with a little bit of Keith Green thrown in, and we will come back to the When the Roll is Called Up Yonder finish. Right, okay, so I've seen number 10, and I've seen number 2. Oh no, we know that this is number 6, yeah. So we've seen number 10 and we've seen number 2, so we've got those lined up as well. So I have practiced this a little bit today, but it is a piano piece that sometimes I get right, sometimes I get wrong. So just please smile with me and pretend it never happened if it goes wrong. So let the church live out for Jesus. 'Cause church has never been the buildings or the halls in which we meet. Church has always been those changed by God's great grace. So when we are not together, we can still sing with one voice. From our homes there rises up a sound of praise. Church has never been the buildings or the halls in which we meet. Church has always been those changed by God's great grace. So when we are not together, we can still sing with one voice. From our homes there rises up a sound of praise. Let the church live out for Jesus and join as one to bring our praises. Let us show the hope within us and let the church live out for Jesus in this world. So when we come back together and our harmonies ring out, help us hold on to the lessons we have learned. That your church cannot be silenced though the world turns upside down, as your faithfulness to us is reaffirmed. Let the church live out for Jesus and join as one to bring our praises. Let us show the hope within us and let the church live out for Jesus in this world. There's a day that's coming where our life on earth is through. We will get to meet our Savior face to face. There we'll sing with all creation, thanking God for what He's done. With 1,000 generations join in praise. And the church will sing for Jesus, join as one to bring our praises. Nothing left to come between us and the church will sing for Jesus with one voice. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. There we go. Almost got there. Just some slight staccato in the bit that should have been beautifully smooth in the chorus. So I did see one coming in from Ria, an excellent Ria, because it's one that we've never done yet, so it would be very good to hear your thoughts on that one. So we've got 10, 2 and 12 coming up. So number 10, who asked for number 10? Ian. Thank you very much, Ian. So this was probably the most personally motivated challenge of the 12-song challenge, really, as we were thinking through what challenges we should set. I encouraged us to set a challenge around mental health. I'm a psychologist, that is my job. I've been a psychologist for 20 years nearly. And being around churches, I've seen how services in the community have dropped off as funding has been cut. And there's a whole group of people who used to get their needs met and that sense of community through some of the groups that would be run from our community mental health services. And now often they find company, they find welcome, they find home within our churches. And I've also seen churches who are just really poor in terms of thinking about mental health, in terms of talking about mental health. Sometimes it becomes very over-spiritualized. Sometimes the person who voices some difficulties that they're having feel like in some way that they're kind of not making the grade or not trusting enough. And as a professional and as a Christian, I think that's rubbish. I think Christians, as everybody in society, experience the full range of emotions. And so I was keen to see what the community would come together on the 12-song challenge and write into that theme of mental health. And there were some amazingly powerful songs. So my song is called When the Darkness Seems to Be My Closest Friend, which is drawn from one of the Psalms. It's Psalm 88, and is also almost the title of a book that somebody in Christian ministry wrote about their own difficulties with mental health. So, this is called When the Darkness Seems to Be My Closest Friend. When the darkness seems to be my closest friend, when I feel that others would not understand, when I choose to fake a smile and just pretend, I call to you. When I feel I'm suffocating in a fog, when I tell myself that this is just my lot, as the God who watches over me forgot, I call to you. I call to you. When my mind becomes a labyrinth of doubts, when the lights on all my hopes and dreams go out, and when I start to wonder what it's all about, I call to you. When the burdens seem like more than I can bear, when I don't believe that anybody cares, and I start to question, are you even there? Well, I call to you. I call to you. Thoughts from deep inside fill me with fear, when the friends that I've relied on disappear, when the shame I feel stops me from drawing near, I call to you. When I find I have no strength to face today, when the voice within me judges all I say, when if I hear nothing but silence as I pray, I call to you.
closest friend. When the darkness seems to be my closest friend, I call to you. I call to you.
Thanks, Ian, for picking that one, and thanks, Andy. I've just seen the your comment. It's not that I'm picking Andy's comment and nobody else's. It's just that was the latest one as I looked at the screen. So that was number 10. That was Mental Health Month. Number 2. Now, interesting is somebody, I think it was John Stammers, who joined us very briefly at the start, and I said he's going to watch this back on demand, as it were, in all that kind of terminology that we're getting. Actually picked this as one of his favourite songs of the year, so that was very nice. John, thank you very much. This was theme songs, and we were encouraged to think about our church, and if we had to write a theme song for our church, what would it be? And we had started the year as a group of leaders thinking about what had gone before, and we have 2 sites, and in 2019 it was probably the first year for a number of years that we'd not had any baptismal services at either of our kind of church sites, our church communities. And so we started talking as a group of leaders about what we needed to do, what needed to change, which parts of our programme could stay, which parts of our programme needed to be looked at again. And the phrase that generated the most interest on the thread was a line that appears in the 4th verse, which talks about, essentially, we don't just want to be moving chairs while the ship's sinking down. It's great to put on so many projects that we have and so many churches have, but ultimately our aim as church is, yes, to improve the life of the people around us, but to point them to Jesus and to see them coming into that relationship with him. And so that's kind of where we started the year. It does appear in another song later on in the year, so clearly it was a theme. And when I first posted this, verse 3 says, "And your eye is on your local church." Our church is called Bodmin Road Church, so sometimes we sing, "And your eye is on Bodmin Road Church." So what I would encourage you to do, if you have a 3-syllable church, you can just drop your name right in there. If you have more than 3 syllables, you either need to say your local church or, merge some syllables together. But you'll see what I mean when we get there. So we believe you are God of our city. And I do know from the last time I sung this, one of the notes sometimes does push itself out of my range. So again, please be patient and understanding with me.
We believe you are God of our city, and the God of our streets and estates. Through your church you're displaying your goodness. We are heralds of mercy and grace. You have called us to push back the darkness and to love with all that we are worth. We will live with our hands stretched to heaven as we work for your change here on earth. We believe you are God of our city, that you see behind every closed door. You call out to the desperate and broken, reaching out to those searching for more. May this church be a place that is willing to welcome the lonely and lost. We surrender our structures and programs to serve them whatever the cost. We believe you are God of our city, and your eye is on your local church. You see all of the ways we are trying to be salt and be light on the earth. You see all of our tears cried in secret for the ones who have now walked away. Give us courage to love without ceasing. Give us your heart, oh God, as we pray. We distractions, moving chairs while the ship's sinking down. May our focus be ever eternal. God, we ask you to turn lives around.
So I think it was Bill who asked for that one, so thank you very much, Bill. Yeah, you're right, Joyce. We did sing it a little bit when we first brought that one in. So just a little update. So we've got 12 that we're about to do now, which is a new one to everybody because I've not yet done it. And then we've not done number 5 yet, which is a communion song. We've not done number 9 yet, which is a song that had 2 challenges within it. So if that doesn't intrigue you, nothing will. And then there's a couple of bonus songs, which just for the sake of transparency, I have included. I noticed a few people have had issues with the words. I think if you're viewing it on a phone, it probably will be a little bit tricky. If you're viewing it on maybe a tablet or a laptop or definitely a television screen, it should be big enough. But if any of you do want the words for any of the songs, if you are part of Bodmin Road Church, drop a message on Slack and we can send those to you, as I think Natalie's just put down there. If you're not part of Bodmin Road Church, feel free to email me either through Songs by David Brackenbury on the Facebook group, which is where the video's gone live from, or david@bodminroadchurch.com, and I can send those words out to you. So number 12, the challenge here was to write a song for family worship, and it was number 12, which meant it was the last song that we needed to submit. So the 12-song challenge, it kind of gave some hints at the slides as they went through before. To complete the challenge, you needed to post a song on each theme every month, and you needed to comment on at least one person's song each month. And so the feeling of relief when I submitted that final song and knew that that part of the box was ticked was immense. My version of this had kind of body percussion, so kind of people slap people, i.e. me, but my idea was people kind of slapping their thighs and clapping their hands and rubbing their hands together to kind of make a percussive beat in the background. And the idea is that it's a song that's never ever achievable. So it picks up on the verse that so many of us are familiar with in Joshua 24. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. But it kind of tries to think of within a physical family, but bigger than that within a church family, of just what a breadth there is in terms of who we are and how we look, how we act, how we interact with the world. So some of them are things that are very, very obvious, like tallest and shortest, oldest and youngest. Others are slightly more controversial, might end up with people crying in a corner because we've put them somewhere on the line that they didn't want to be. So if I do use it to church, if any of you pick it up and use it at your church, probably a slight bit of preparation before would save fractured relationships. But it's called As for Me and My House. So the idea is we make some token effort as we're singing this in a big group to kind of try and make a line from the oldest to the youngest, from the tallest to the shortest, knowing that we're never going to get there. But then the refrain we come back to again and again is, and for everyone else in between. The fact that God's family is big enough for all of us, has a space for all of us. So yeah, as for me and my house. Right then, let's have a look.
As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Tell the world about all He has done. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Those before us and those still to come. And from the youngest to the oldest, and for everyone else in between. From the wisest to the silly ones, let your love through this family be seen. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Tell the world about all He has done. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Those before us and those still to come. And from the tallest to the shortest, and for everyone else in between. From the bossy to the
Let your love through this family be seen. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, tell the world about all he has done. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, those before us and those still to come. And from the sleepy to the lively, and for everyone else in between, from the shouters to the quieter ones, let your love through this family be seen. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, tell the world about all he has done. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, those before us and those still to come. Tell the world about all he has done. There's a place here for everyone. Thank you, Ria. You are part of my focus group for anything that relates to young people in our church. So I'll be very, very interested to hear your views on that one. Thank you for picking it blind, and I hope it didn't disappoint. So we have number 5, which is our communion song, number 9, which is our gaps in 3, and then 13 and 14, which are 2 little bonus tracks, which I can give you a little story about as well. So let me see if anybody's going to pick one of those. If not, I might head towards... oh, lovely. I will take that as a commendation and a quote and a yes. Fantastic. Thank you, Ria. So let's do... From an upbeat song to a bit more of a reflective song. Oh, we've had number 9. Let's do number 9. Let's do number 9, then we'll do number 5. So number 9... Joel and Sam, you might have, if you joined us right from the beginning, you will have noticed that I gave them laser eyes because some of their challenges were downright hideous. And this one was a double challenge in one. We had to find a gap song, so that's a song that when we went to try and write something about, sing something about, we struggled to find songs. And also we needed to write it in 3s, which is a musical term, which basically means it's kind of got a bit of a waltzy feel to it. So one element of that wasn't enough. And my bonus song is the first song that I tried to write for this month. I had a gap in my mind and I managed to miss the gap that I created massively. But I returned to the theme of what we had as our theme song. We were just about to start as a church a series on mission, and it was just a song that came out of one of the United Adoration creative days, pretty much written in that day, and then used a few times through our autumn series on mission. So this is called How Will They Know? How will they know if we don't go spreading the good news high and low? How will they hear that Jesus is near if his church can't get out of first gear? How will they seek if we don't speak, telling them how you are unique? How through your grace you made a place where the sins of their past are erased. 'Cause we have a mission, a story to share, the Great Commission, to show others you can. Hope to the hopeless, life to the dead. As we step out, Lord, please would you go ahead to help us reach out, move past our doubts, remind us what this is all about. As we plant seeds, help us to reap, wake us up from our satisfied sleep. Your world is lost, we need your cross, hear that you came to pay the cost, died in that place, call them by name, buried deep all their sin and the shame. 'Cause we have a mission, a story to share,
we step out, Lord, please would you go ahead.
Typical. As soon as I mentioned Joel and his evil challenges, he logs on. Sorry, there isn't a picture of you at the start with lasers coming out of your eyes. You don't need to watch the first part of the video if you're joining us late, Joel. Thank you very much. So that was number 9, and then that leaves the final one from the actual official 12-song challenge list, being our communion song. Now, I've always been drawn to the songwriters who tell a story, who take a very, very familiar story and just tell it in a way that just puts you right in the picture, helps you to think about what it would have been like to be in that encounter, to be in that situation, to meet Jesus in that way. And as we set the communion challenge, I have tried in the past to write songs for communion, but there are so many go-to ones that I would have that I've never really pushed through. And so I started to read through the gospel accounts and saw what the different angles were on the story. And a bit of a narrative, a bit of a storytelling story came out that hopefully has a chorus that slows it down enough for us to be able to join in. And it was very weird when I started writing it. I was singing it as though I was telling Jesus his story, which felt a bit weird, kind of telling Jesus what he'd experienced and what he'd gone through. So that got fairly quickly changed into something that more takes us as the singer, takes us as a congregation through some of those elements of that Last Supper and the journey to the cross and what the cross achieved. So this is called Here Is Bread.
Through a meal with his disciples, he revealed the path ahead, how the world would turn against him and place thorns upon his head. Yet his final breath on earth would be the one that set us free, as he faced the cruel cross alone for me. In the calm before the storm, he took the bread and then the wine. Through the anguish of the garden, praying not my will but thine. By a kiss from his betrayer, he was taken to the place where he didn't speak a word to plead his case. Here is bread, and here is wine. Still they speak of love divine, broken body, blood poured out for us. We will remember the cross. It was not the charge stated that condemned him to his fate, but the crowd now full of loathing, screaming out their words of hate, as he lifted up his cross and climbed the hillside on his own. There he paid the price to welcome sinners home. And here is bread, and here is wine. Still they speak of love divine, broken together to remember one more time how the Son of God in mercy came to save a life like mine. May our hearts be ever thankful at the sacrifice he gave as he died then rose triumphant from the grave. Here is bread. Okay, so I think we have officially now gone through all of the 12 songs from the 12 song challenge. So I'm going to leave one of the bonus tracks unsung. It probably won't ever see the light of day. The gap I tried to write into, I grew up in a church where anybody would sing any song, anybody would strike up a song and people would join in, and we had such a fantastic pianist. He would start playing in the key that they were in, but know that we would eventually struggle to hit some of the notes in that key. So as soon as we came to the end of the verse, he would do a quick little link and put it into the right key for us to be singing it. And that sense of a song just rising from the congregation. But those songs need to be simple melodically, they need to be simple lyrically. So I tried to write one of those as a gap in 3, and it ended up becoming a 4-verse song about the Trinity. Obviously 3 verses, one each about each part of the Trinity, and then a final verse to wrap it up. So we won't do that one tonight, but we will do one of the bonus songs which came from one of the United Adoration Creative Days. It wasn't linked to one of the challenges, it was looking at Psalms. And it's an upbeat song, so we'll sing that to send us out. Thank you so much for joining. I always feel so much support from the family at Bodmin in terms of it being a place for me to test out my new songs. But there's another community that have been really a blessing to me over this last 12 months, and that is the group on the 12 Song Challenge community. So it's been so lovely to see your names popping up tonight as you've joined in, and I hope that some might kind of watch it later and not live. So if you're here tonight, thank you so much. You will have seen right at the start there was a word cloud of all of the people who've contributed. Over 50 people over the year have contributed to my songs, and I really appreciate all of those contributions. It's a wonderful community to be a part of at any time, but especially in this last year where for so many people those creative avenues have been shut down. I've been blessed to be a part of such a community. So we're going to sing to finish. It's based on Psalm 33, and this verse, this concept has been in my mind for quite a while. I think it was at one of the songwriting retreats at Wydale. I went into one of the early morning prayer meetings, and I was looking through Psalms, and I got to Psalm 33, and just these words, this image struck itself into my mind. It says, he gathers the waters of the sea into jars. He puts the deep into storehouses. What a powerful image. We're within kind of 20-minute drive to the coast, and I love going there and just imagining that mighty ocean. And I've only seen the bit that rocks up on the beach. That our God is powerful enough to just to put that in a jar. An amazing, amazing image. And so this song came out of that psalm as we did that creative day. For those of you who haven't yet had the Graham Kendrick song, All I Once Held Dear, ruined by recognising the familiar melody of the Ugly Duckling in there, I too have got a slightly borrowed tune in the verse of this. The company that it's borrowed from has now gone out of existence, so it's not too bad, but there is a little bit of the Toys R Us Christmas advert in the melody at the start of the verse. So you can hear that forever and a day now as you sing this, or as you never sing it again. So this is called Here Are Joyful Songs, and it's number 14 for my tech. Thank you, Elijah. write joyful songs to you, O Lord. Your ways are righteous and true. We will shout for joy and bring you praise. You're faithful in all that you do. Yes, you're faithful in all that you do. By your word alone, earth and heaven were made. The stars fall in line with your breath. We anchor our hope in your unfailing love. Your promise is life over death. So we bring you our worship. We trust in your name. We celebrate how great you are. How awesome, how mighty, the King over all. You bottle the ocean in jars. Here are joyful songs to you, O Lord. Your ways are righteous and true. We will shout for joy and bring you praise. You're faithful in all that you do. Yes, you're faithful in all that you do. The plans that you make will stand firm for all time, the lasting span of our lives. Our hope is not placed in the might we possess, but placed in all that you provide. So we wait on you, Lord. You're our strength and our shield, the one that our hearts will adore. 'Cause you're matchless in love and unrivaled in power. You gather the depths into store. Here are joyful songs to you, O Lord. Your ways are righteous and true. We will shout for joy and bring you praise. You're faithful in all that you do. Yes, you're faithful in all that you do. Always faithful in all that you do. Mike, we can get in contact afterwards and sort out rates. We've interacted on the forum, so I'm sure I can sort out some mates rates to rent Elijah out to you. He's done a cracking job, to be fair. We moved across as a church to OBS over the Christmas break, and so it's been quite a steep learning curve for him and me. But yeah, he's done a cracking job, so thank you for spotting that. And Natalie as well has been trying to spot the songs as they come in, so we make sure that we get those in the right order and include all those requests. So that's my thanks to my tech team here. I've already said thank you to you guys for joining. So I'm just going to close in prayer and then send you on your way to the rest of your Wednesday evening. Father, we understand it is so easy when we open a newspaper, when we turn on the news, when we have the radio on in the car to hear the stories, to hear the count of hospital admissions or of deaths and to feel overwhelmed. And even without that, our lives throw so many things in our direction that feel insurmountable, unachievable, like we'll never ever grasp them. But please help us to remember that in all of those situations and through all of those times, you are with us. And you are the God who, if you chose to do so, you could take the North Sea and you could put it in a set of jam jars across the seafront. That is how big and how powerful you are. And that image blows our mind because our view of you is so small. Our sense of what you can do is so restricted by our human understanding. So Lord, I just pray you would broaden our thinking, broaden our understanding of you, that as that influences the things that we pray for, we will pray bigger prayers because we bring them to a Father who cares for us, who loves us, and who sent his Son to bring us into relationship. So we thank you. Amen. Okay, that's us almost done. What time is it? 2021. Oh, look at that. We've ended on the time that is the year. That is very impressive. 6 minutes overshoot, but I'm going to say to you, good night, God bless. Thank you again for joining, and see you soon.